Merry Christmas, everyone, and welcome to this, the 30th anniversary of our holiday salute.
Through the years, we've told you about the sacrifices of our local military members and their families.
And we've done our best to try to bring everyone just a little bit closer together.
And it's a story we never get tired of telling.
This year, the largest group of deployed personnel comes from the Harry S. Truman Carrier Strike Group and Air Wing. Mike Gooding spent some time with them.
Well, Joe, originally this deployment wasn't a part of the plan, but circumstances changed, and the USS Harry S. Truman got called upon, and they answered the bell.
I saw a team come together that had never worked together, and we strived for greatness, and we succeeded.
The deployment came 3 days after the terror attacks in Paris.
We certainly extend our condolences to the French, and we look forward to supporting them as part of the coalition in any way that we can.
I'm feeling a little bit nervous because of everything that's just happened in Paris, so I don't know how to feel. I'm just going to trust in God.
And I wish them all the peace in the world, but in this world we live in today, you don't know what's going to happen out there, and I'll just be watching the news and praying for them each and every day.
The sailors are focused, of course, on the mission, but they're thinking of loved ones back on the home front this holiday season.
It's terrible. I mean, I miss my family and stuff, and I miss out on all the activities with my kids.
You know, I miss my people from back home, celebrating the holidays, the seasons with them, and of course they always wondering where I'm at, what I'm doing, where am I.
It's definitely going to be rough. It takes some adjusting, and it takes a hardcore person to actually get through it.
And also, we all know that we are not home, but we make this like home. We make it like family.
A key piece of that family is Air Wing 7, the squadrons, the pilots, the maintainers who keep the planes flying, delivering U.S. air power where it's needed.
Well, it's a tremendous honor. And, as I walk around to the squadrons and I tell people that we have a special responsibility and a privilege to be a part of the force that protects our way of life.
One of the 9 squadrons aboard the Truman getting the job done from Oceana, VFA 83, the Rampagers.
There's a lot of stuff going on around the world. It's more important than ever, really, to project power and do all the standard military stuff right there. And I'm just happy to make this.
It is a group that I'm proud to be deploying with, and I think we're going to do great work.
How proud am I? I couldn't be any prouder. What they've done over the last year and a half getting ready for this, with all the changes, with all the detachments, with all the moves, all the resourcing, it's been incredible.
Team members say it has been a challenge.
This is what we've been training for, so we have no choice. We got to go in there, do what we've been training to do.
We weren't really expecting the switch, but once we got word of it, then we just stepped up and we just did it.
It's like one big family here. When we get the call, we all come together, make things happen, and get these jets up and ready to go.
And now a few final words from the USS Harry S. Truman team.
From the VFA 83 Rampagers!
Happy holidays, Hampton Roads! Ram on!
From the USS Harry S. Truman.
Happy holidays, Hampton Roads!
We have been all over the world to bring you this show the past 30 years, the Med, the Persian Gulf, Europe, Asia, the Far East, and it has been an honor to bring these stories to you. We are standing on the deck of the Norfolk-based nuclear attack submarine, the USS Hammerhead, next to the sub-tender Orion in the port of La Maddalena, Sardinia, where you're about to discover that life on a submarine is a whole different ballgame. That was 1988, and life in 2015 is still a whole different ballgame on board the submarine USS Newport News. On a cold, rainy day, the crew of the Los Angeles-class nuclear-powered fast-attack submarine USS Newport News wanted to talk holiday salute.
We'll decorate the ship as allowed to allow operations. The cooks normally cook a great holiday meal.
Close quarters when you live and work on a submarine. This holiday season, the 150 sailors of Newport News will be overseas.
The Newport News will deploy to either the European theater or the Central Command theater, and we'll get our orders from the operational commander, and we'll support him in any one of the missionaries that a fast-attack submarine is able to conduct.
On the mess deck, we learned it holds 25 at a time, and lunch is served very quickly.
Starts at 11, ends at 12, so I got an hour to change out this whole entire seating 4 times. So it's a little bit of pressure to eat, so next thing I can eat behind you.
They can't eat all the time.
We do have exercise. Obviously, I don't exercise as much as I should, but I could probably use some more. So that'll help with the holiday season. You know what I mean? I won't gain that winter coat.
There's no restrictions size-wise for a sailor on a sub. The engineer on Newport News stands 6'6", and yes, he stands out.
There's no restriction on height for submarines. I do kind of find places to stick my head up when I can. My rack's okay. I kind of hit end to end, but I have enough room to stretch out in there.
I think I'll be fine. I have a pretty good attitude about things, so I think I'll be fine.
So these are the guys who are gone this holiday season. For some, it's a first time. Shakur Majors is a Maury High School grad.
Spending lots of time with these guys, we learn to become more like brothers than anything else. So these are my family. This is my family out to see you.
The chief of the boat agrees.
It's good and bad where you know everyone's business, but if you ever have problems, you can rely on the rest of the crew to help out.
The best way to pass the time is to stay busy, but family is always on your mind.
And then she gives me an email at night, you know, how homework went, you know, field trips and things like that, just so, you know, I'm still kind of in the mix a little bit.
Joshua Johnson worked for Intercom Radio before he joined the Navy. His holiday plan?
To basically pregame your holidays. So we'll actually be having Christmas at the end of November in my household.
We've prepared several Christmas videos through the USO and other organizations to present to Edgar, which I'm sure he won't grasp or understand at this age, but when he's older, he'll be able to look back on those and have a better understanding that we cared and we're trying to make efforts for him.
It's definitely the hardest thing I've ever done. It's not for everybody, but the friendships you develop are definitely invaluable.
So yeah, this last year we celebrated with our sponsor, Newport News, did our 25th anniversary.
We had to let these sailors wish loved ones a Merry Christmas.
And while I'm not able to be with you right now, you're in my thoughts, and I can't wait to see you when I return. Love you.
To my wife, Kiosha Majors, and my family here in Norfolk, I want to wish you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
30 years of memories and meeting some of the finest men and women in America. Coming up, we'll even introduce you to one family who appeared in that very first special in 1986, John and Linda Rowland. Stay with us for this walk down military memory lane.
Holiday Salute 30th Anniversary, sponsored by Virginia Ship Repair Association and Hampton Roads Honda Dealers, will continue in a moment.
Over the decades, we have focused on the men and women in uniform. But one group of truly unsung heroes is the men and women who build and maintain the ships. Sandra Parker has that story.
You take a lot of pride in your work.
Alan Williams is one of the thousands of employees at Newport News Shipbuilding, a division of Huntington Ingalls Industries. He's been a pipe welder there for 33 years. He's worked on every carrier since the Roosevelt.
Roosevelt, Lincoln, Washington, Stennis, Truman, Reagan, Bush, and now the Ford.
Through the years, many things about shipbuilding have changed.
It's a lot of different stuff that's really come a long way since first ones we started on, you know. But the technology is really probably the biggest thing.
And he says knowing the important job these ships are doing makes him work harder every day.
You want to make sure that they're able to complete their mission.
Alan spent time in the military himself, so he knows how important the job is and how difficult it can be, especially around the holidays.
But I was in the Air Force and missed some Christmases and stuff, so I know what it feels like to, you know, be away from home and not be with your family. So, yeah, I just appreciate them that much more, that they're, you know, taking that sacrifice.
That military sacrifice and commitment is what machinist Sharon Jones says has brought her pride in her work here at Newport News Shipbuilding for 36 years.
Everything that I do, I try to make sure it's right.
Why?
Because of the sailors and Navy people going out to sea. You want everything to be right for them.
And the pride that these shipbuilders bring to the yard every day is something that's established early on for many at the apprentice school.
Once I was here, that's when I kind of fell in love with the shipyard, the ships, and everything it stood for.
Casey Tevis is a marine engineer apprentice. She's been at the school 6 years and has 2 more to go. She says she appreciates every day here because it's a learning experience in the classroom and in the yard.
It's just the culture of this is our customer and it's all for the customer. What keeps the customer happy? And the Navy is our customer, and America's our customer. I mean, we're building ships for America.
And that's something no one here ever forgets.
I'll make sure that the ship that I'm helping build will keep our guys and gals safe. And very important to me to be able to do that.
Letters here at the Armed Forces Memorial at Town Point Park. It's the letters from the Vietnam War era that can really hit home. Regina Mobley put together a holiday salute to honor those who sacrificed so much in Vietnam.
The nation this year paused to count the years, 50 of them, since the war that divided us and left a chasm in our hearts and minds. Warren Kurt is now 70 years old. At the age of 25, he joined the effort as a captain in the U.S. Army 24th Corps. It didn't take long for him to figure out that he had joined a war with an ill-defined strategy and no clear definition of victory.
I went to a military college, so I wanted to do this. However, the longer I was in and the more futility you kind of saw in some of the operations and the numbers of casualties and so forth, you began to question a little bit more.
Whether a war is controversial or one that ends in victory, what remains the same generation after generation is the loneliness the troops experience when they are far away from home. During the Vietnam era, keeping in touch with loved ones was difficult and at times counterproductive.
It was tough. The primary means was by letter, which could take sometimes up to 2 weeks. The only really other way, there was something called a Mars station, which was a radio station that would call from Vietnam to ham radio operators in the United States. If you could latch on to somebody, then the ham operator would make a collect call to your family. And of course they would find it pretty funny because they'd say hello and then they have to say over so the radio guy could flip the switch.
Joe Shadell was 22 years old when he joined the effort as a pilot flying air-to-ground attack aircraft from the USS Ranger and the USS Enterprise.
Family and home are the two things that really touch your heart in the holiday time.
2 of his 9 deployments took him to Vietnam.
It was difficult to be away at Christmas time, and particularly 2 Christmases back-to-back when I had 2 young sons at home.
Bill Murray joined the Navy shortly after graduating from high school. His first tour took him to the South Pole, where the CB and his comrades erected a 2.5-story building.
Built this building for him and spent Christmas down there. There were 30 of us, and the loneliest I've ever been in my life was Christmas Day, because you're with 30 guys, you're not with your family.
The next stop was Vietnam. He has vivid memories of the sense of loss associated with not being able to spend time with family members.
When you're away from your loved ones, you worry about what's going on. And you're so far away you can't take care of them, and you have to take and do your job.
These heroes from Vietnam have a new assignment. They are volunteers at the Military Aviation Museum in Virginia Beach. High above the Pungo section of the city, history comes to life as aircraft from the past ruled the skies, and proud veterans tell the stories of how our troops from the past sacrificed for this country. From one soldier from the past to our men and women serving our country today, a heartfelt expression of appreciation and admiration.
And the only thing I can really say is thank you for serving. I still get choked up. You see the flag. You see, all of the things about our country that are great. Didn't happen by accident. There were an awful lot of people and an awful lot of wars missing an awful lot of holidays in order to make that happen.
Regina, many of those older pilots may remember our first holiday salute way back in 1986. Mike Moss sure does. The Airland Public Affairs Director has been a part of each and every one of these specials. Merry Christmas from the Adriatic Sea, where once again thousands of Hampton Roads sailors are on holiday deployment. I'm Joe Flanagan, and that is the USS Wasp on station off Bosnia, where world attention is truly focused this year on peace on Earth,
Goodwill Toward Men.
This is how it looked 20 years ago as Holiday Salute, or Navy Christmas as it was known, was celebrating its 10-year anniversary. From the beginning, the focus has been on the deployed men and women of Hampton Roads and the jobs they perform each and every day, and the families back home who sacrificed so much during these long and lonely holiday deployments. 30 years this year, and one man has helped us every one of those years. He's Airlant Public Affairs Director Mike Moss.
Oh, I think the entire project has been absolutely outstanding. And it's hard to believe that when we did that first show that it's still going after all these years, and it's beautiful. It's a wonderful piece.
Military reporter Mike Gooding has been everywhere, getting us up close and personal on the front lines of Peace on Earth, Goodwill Toward Men. Decades of writing and producing this program. And remember Catherine Barrett? She took us to the front lines too.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this holiday season.
Thousands of Hampton Roads military personnel telling their stories of defending our freedom. 30 years worth.
It was great when you guys came out to the ship, especially all that way in Haifa, Israel. And it's hard to believe it's been 30 years. Thanks to WVEC Channel 13. Let's hope you guys do this for another 30 years.
From top sailors like Admiral Flanagan, Admiral Borda, to everyday aviators.
It's lonely in the sense that you're away from your family and your friends back home, but then again, it's kind of the band of brothers thing. You're out here being out here for a couple months, doing what we're doing out here makes you closer to the guys.
Personally, I will never forget being in Kuwait City after the first Gulf War and invited into the home of the Mirafat family to hear them thank U.S. Marines for making their neighborhood safe.
Thanks for every child there in America. And Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
So many people to thank. And hats off to WVEC TV ABC 13 for carrying on this annual tradition. It really is a holiday salute to the military men and women of Hampton Roads.
Holiday Salute 30th Anniversary, sponsored by Tropical Smoothie Cafe and Grand Furniture, will continue after this.
A lot of the focus each year is on the aircraft carriers, but a key piece of the strike group puzzle is the small boys, the surface ships. Mike Gooding has that story.
They are the Anzio, the Gravely, the Gonzalez, and the Bulkley.
I'm really hyped up to see all the new places I'll be going to and all that good stuff. But I will miss my family. I will miss my lovely man at home.
Holidays has always been a big thing with my family, so I'm going to miss them a lot, but I've done it before, so it's not going to be hard for me again.
The holidays are a big thing, especially for my family and my wife's family.
Miss Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year's, me and my wife's wedding anniversary, so it's going to be difficult, but I know that comes along with the job.
Over on the Gonzalez, there are similar mixed feelings.
It's going to be tough, kind of depressing being away from the family, but I'm going to try to keep myself busy and not think about that.
This will be the first time me being away for the holidays from everybody.
I mean, this is what you sign up for, so.
Yeah, but still, you think it'd be a little sad when...
Oh, definitely. It's my 21st birthday, too, so I'm missing a whole lot.
They're feeling the blues aboard the Gravely, too.
This will be the first time, actually, that I'll be away from home for the holidays, so it's pretty tough.
You know, it's a sacrifice we all make, so it's worth it. I knew, that was going to happen eventually, so.
It's pretty hard being away from your loved ones, but we're pretty close on the ships. That kind of helps out.
I'm going to miss my family during the holiday season because that's usually the time we get together and enjoy each other. We'll be sad, missed, but it's my job.
That's going to be pretty depressing. First holidays missed, with the family, but, I got to go do what I got to do.
Well, I'm definitely going to miss them, that's for sure. And I know they're going to miss their dad, and that's going to be the hardest part of it right there.
It'll be a little difficult, but we'll get through it. We always do.
And though they're sad, the surface ship sailors were able to muster up at least a little holiday cheer.
From the USS Gravely, Happy Holidays, Hampton Roads.
From USS Bulkley, Happy Holidays, Hampton Roads. From USS Gonzalez,
Happy Holidays, Hampton Roads.
Our military is always taking part in special missions. Well, one recent trip brought smiles and cheers to loved ones back home. Sandra Parker found out it might have something to do with the special cargo on board.
It's not every day Santa gets a special flight in from the North Pole, but the folks at Helicopter Sea Combat Support Squadron 2, the Fleet Angels, they wanted to make sure he was here in time for their holiday festivities. And you can tell from the smiles on the faces of all the children, his arrival was a huge success.
Our military kids give so much to have their parents serve, and it's just a nice way to give back to them. And the holidays is all about giving to the children and just making their day happy, and who would not be happy having Santa come in on a helicopter.
Not only did this event have Santa, but the kids also got to make some holiday crafts, work off some energy at the bounce houses, and run wild in a field of bubble wrap. This annual event is a chance to let these military families celebrate being together.
We aren't a deployable command, but all of our sailors and officers come from deployable command, so it's nice to have a couple years off, a couple years home for the holidays, and it's good to be here with the kids.
It makes me feel closer and connected to my family.
For Major Powell, this is an extra special gathering. This father of two is in the Air Force and just got back from deployment. His wife is part of HSC too.
Sometimes it can get pretty hard, and sometimes, definitely being away from the kids and watching them, develop without you, that can be tough sometimes. That's probably the roughest part.
But he says he wouldn't change a thing. He's proud to be a part of a military family.
I'm blessed, to have two beautiful kids, a beautiful wife, and my life is, that makes it all worthwhile.
And being surrounded by the support of their military family is what many here say helped them get through the rough spots.
You really become a family with the squadron and the wives in the squadron, the husbands in the squadron. And I don't know, the support system is just really integral to surviving.
Community support is also important and much appreciated. And this event helps make sure everyone here remembers that and the joy of being together.
To just celebrate their parents being home, because it's not a given that, your mom and dad are going to be here for Christmas.
It's not every day you get to do a follow-up to a story 30 years in the making. That's why we were thrilled when the first family from the very first holiday salute agreed to do this update. John and Linda Rowland had just given birth to a baby boy back in 1986. Let's pick the story up from there.
Dearest John, hope all is well with you. We are all fine. I'm beginning to feel stronger since the birth. Gee, can't believe it's so close to Christmas.
Linda Rowland was having a busy Christmas in 1986. She had a 2-month-old son, Tim, a young son, Mike, and a husband on deployment with a carrier, Kennedy. And TV 13 came by to do a story on her family.
Granddad was coming, and Grandma was going to be with us, and it made Christmas, we had no idea what Christmas was going to be like, and so it filled the gap for Christmas.
We took the video of newborn Tim and arranged to have Daddy John watch it in the captain's office on board the carrier John F. Kennedy stationed in the Med off Italy that year. It was the first time John had seen his 2-month-old son, Tim.
Hey, come see your father. Say hello to Dad.
Being called into the captain's office there was kind of surprising. But to see Tim was a very, wow. That was a wow factor.
It was new territory for the Rowlands.
Had no idea it didn't teach me how to be a wife. And I thought, just with the help of my friends, and that's how we met you, through the military. It was a wives club.
Son Mike was worried that Dad would miss Santa that year.
It helped him a lot. I think it was, oh yeah, he said the kids, he kept telling Mike, he said, Santa Claus came to me. He came all the way over there to me.
Mike, I love you, and I'm sending your little Christmas present. Take care of your little brother and your mom, and I'll be calling on the phone. I'm gonna eat these brownies here. All these brownies, I'm gonna eat them all up. You're not gonna have any, but I get them all.
It's honestly the only video I have of my granddad really throughout my whole life. I just remember having him running around with me throwing the football, and it's a great memory to have.
Rome, right at the Vatican.
Coming full circle, baby Tim has gone on to join the Navy himself. He's stationed in San Diego, and Dad loves it, just as he loved being a part of our first holiday salute.
Well, it's been special. It really has. All these years, I understand that, there's sailors out there, and people got to see that they're out there still. And I think it's a very valuable tool you have to share the real life of sailors.
Blows my mind. It's just, but it's been good. I'm glad we could be there. It was really a part of our life.
Say bye, Dad. Bye, Dad. Give him a salute.
It was neat, it was exciting, it was tear-jerking, but the other wives together, it made me feel that if we hadn't had that, Christmas would have been very sad.
And so we thank our military members past and present and their families.
They're what make our community and our country great.
We offer each and every one of them a heartfelt salute.
And we wish them all the best from all of us here at ABC 13.
Happy holidays!